Alright guys, so welcome to today's video, and in today's video we will work on our anime fighters game right here. And in the last video I have told you that I'm gonna make this fighter assigning process, so that I'm gonna make this one automated. And yeah, so that is the topic for the next episodes. And just to give you a quick overview on how we are going to make everything automated, let me just quickly go through my ideas. And of course, it is recommended that you guys know how this script works in order to, be able to understand what I'm trying to tell you. Okay, so we have the script right here, and as you guys know, we have this loop, which is first of all limited to 3, means it loops through 3 times. We already have some prepared variables right here, so 3 variables, which represent the fighters, of course. And we have some checks, okay? So nothing is automated at all, and we also have this this prepared position, so these prepared C-frames right here. And automated in this context means that you barely need to take action on the script yourself, okay? So that the script is able to run without you editing it for each fighter, okay? So that we are able to build up a system which is able to stand for itself, and we only need to feed the system with new information, such as new fighters which have been assigned, so new fighters which have been bought, for example, which have been summoned whatsoever. And this system just needs to pick out these fighters, and then just needs to do its work depending on how many fighters you have or you have equipped, and so on. And I'm gonna share my ideas with you now. So I thought about creating a folder inside of our player right here, and this folder is going to hold all of the equipped fighters, okay? Of course, it is not going to hold those character models. It is going to hold some representative instances, such as int values, which have the same name as those character models and those fighters at the end. So it is going to hold something like that. And this loop right here, so instead of looping through 3 times, it is going to loop through, we are going to replace this number 3, which stands for the amount of loops at the end. So we are going to replace this with the total amount of representing instances inside of that equipped fighters folder, okay? Basically, it is going to have one loop for each fighter which has been equipped, and within each loop we are going to create a position part. We are going to create a new position depending on the current position parts we have, and okay, and we are of course going to assign the fighter to this position part, okay? And everything is going to work automated. So that's my intention at this point. And all right, so we need to start off with something very, very certain. So we first of all need to create a data store, okay? So a game without a data store is, well, very, very interesting, let's say, because if you want to save the player's progress, then you will need a data store. And I have heard that there is a new data store out there. I haven't checked it out yet. I'm gonna stick with this old in quotation marks, old data store method, okay, with this conventional data store method. So if there's any new data store out there and you guys want me to use it, then comment so. But as I've said, I haven't read about that thing yet. Okay. So the first line right here is a variable, and it is going to stand for our data store. And of course, when it comes to data stores, you will need to refer to the data store service first of all. So game get service data store service, and then we need to apply this function onto this data store service, which is basically going to create a new data store which has this name, okay? So next step is to apply the data store onto every player which joins and leaves. Okay, so when a player joins, we want to load the data from that data store, and if he leaves, or if the player leaves, then we want to save everything. So, okay, So game players player edit basically refers to this players tab. Player edit is an event which fires when a player has been added to the game, means a player has joined, okay? And yeah, that's the rest. And player basically is a parameter, an argument which just stands for the player, or which refers to the player which has just joined. Okay. Okay, so we have just created this folder right here. And yeah, folder instance.new creates a new instance, which is a folder and which is inside of our player. And this folder's name is equip towers, and we are now going to load everything regarding this folder. So I'm gonna wrap everything inside of this p-call. So what this p-call does is that everything which is wrapped inside of it is not going to break the script or stop the script once it runs into an error. So the problem with data stores is that it really tends to cause some errors, some error messages, and then your whole script just breaks, and so nothing is working at all, and that is very dangerous, especially when you work with other people's data, and so when a data store is not working anymore, then you are not able to save the other player's data as well, and that's the point where it becomes really dangerous, guys. Okay, therefore, always use p-calls within your data stores. So, p-call function, if data store get async player user ID, then okay. So, let me explain you the idea behind of this. I'm not sure if this is going to work, but we are going to see it soon. So, so that's the speaker I was talking about, and now this is a check, okay? And this check checks if the player has some data, okay? So let me quickly go through how you're able to understand this. So we have this data store, and getAsync is basically a function which loads the data store, and not only the data store, it is loading a certain data store. And how certain? So we have this user ID right here, and so the user ID of a player is very unique, and we have not written it yet, but we are going to make make every player have its own data store, okay? And you are able to refer to the player's data store with those user IDs, okay? Why user IDs? Why aren't we using, I don't know, the shirt ID, for example, or the hat color, okay? So why are we using the user ID for the identification of the player's data store? And yeah, the answer is easy, and I've already said it. The user ID is very unique, so there is only a certain user ID once, okay? So it cannot happen that two players share the same user ID, okay? And this basically just prevents players from having another player's data store, okay? So impersonating whatsoever is not able, is impossible. Okay. So if the player has data, so we're trying to refer to a data store which is assigned to this user ID. So if there is something which is assigned onto this user ID, which can only be a data store, no, which can only be stats, which can only be some data, okay? Then we want to load it, okay? By doing this loop. Now let me quickly go through this. So we guys know that this refers to the player's data, if it exists, and if this check passes down here, then we know that the data does exist. Therefore, we can refer to it right here once again, and we are going to loop through that data, okay? And I have not written the table yet, which we are going to save, but I have a certain idea, and the table is going to have the name of the stat, no, the name of the fighter, and, well, V is the value, but the value makes less sense at this point because, as I've said, this instance, which is going to be an int value, is only going to represent the fighter and not, it is not going to carry any stats or so. So the name is already enough in order to represent the certain fighter at this point. So we are going to leave V out. So we are creating a new instance, which is an int value, and as I've said, any instance will do. And, well, of course not any instance, but choose something in between int value, bool value, whatsoever value, okay? So we only need an instance which represents the fighter through the name, and we are going to put this instance inside of this equip towers folder, and we make sure that the name of this int value is the name which has been saved, okay? And of course we are going to save the towers which have been equipped, okay? Therefore, we are loading it, so that's the loading process behind of this. Alright, so that's it with loading everything. Now, we can move on with saving the stuff, so player removing, connect function, so basically the same thing as player edit, with a slight difference that we have the case of player removing, we have the event of player removing, which stands for the case when a player has been removed from this player list, means the player has left, has been kicked, whatsoever. Okay, and at this point, we will apply a save function, and we still need to script a save function. So function save, and this function is only going to require this player, and, well, I'm gonna mention this. I'm gonna mention something else later regarding this player removing thing. But yeah, let's move on. So if player find first child equipped towers, then we want to loop through this, so I'm just gonna copy this loop. I'm gonna delete the thing it is looping through. There we go. So it is now looping through this equipped towers folder, which is of course inside of the player. So player find first child equipped towers. So I'm gonna go through this line later. And okay. Okay, and this is actually it. I'm not sure about the set async. Let me just quickly look it up. Okay, so I've just looked it up, and so I wanted to know what comes first. So either the user ID or the value which we are trying to save. And yeah, apparently the user ID comes first. Okay. Now, keep in mind, those are the basics, okay? So this is the basics of the data store. Of course, today we have some opportunities regarding the data stores. and you can just optimize the data store if you want to. So there are many things you can do differently, you can do better, you can optimize at this point. And yeah, I know that this data store is not that good, okay, but it fulfills its purpose, and that's fine at this point. Okay, so let me quickly go through this function. So the first check right here checks if the player has this equipped towers folder, because if not, then there's no point. There's no point in trying to save it when the folder is not there, okay? First thing, first check. Now, second thing, we are creating an empty table. Why? Because we, of course, need to fill up this table with information about our equipped towers, which we want to save. And as you can see down here, setAsync stands for, or yeah, setAsync saves a certain value, in this case, a table, onto onto the data store, and this data can be identified through this certain user ID I have already talked about. And now let me tell you how this table is being filled up. So we have this loop right here, and we are looping through the equipped towers folder, and we are basically just taking this table and wait, instead of doing this, we could do something like this. Or could we? I'm not sure. Wait. No, never mind. Let's just stick with this. So, you need to know that this table, or that every table consists of this, okay? So every entry consists of an index and of a value. And at this point, we are putting the name of our equipped tower to this index spot, and we of course need to put a value, otherwise we cannot do this entry. Therefore I have just decided to put 1 there, but as I've already told you up here, the value does not make any difference, so we are not going to work with v, aka the value. We only need the index, which is the name of the tower which has been saved. Okay, that's actually it for this data store. Okay, but there is one problem with player removing. So I have made the experience that player removing does not work within Studio. Therefore, I'm gonna do this. So this check basically checks if the session we are currently having, so the game session, is within Roblox Studio. Because if that's not the case, means we are actually playing the game, then we want to apply this player removing method, because it triggers there. So as I've already told you, it does not trigger for me in Studio. And if this check right here is not true, means this thing does not pass, then we are going to use bind close. I'm going to explain this to you as well. So bind close basically fires when game is closed, to be shut down, to be closed. And if that's the case, then we loop through this players tab and we check if the game is within the studio session, because if that's the case, then we want to hit we want to call this save function on every player. Okay, so one more thing, make sure to enter player as your argument, as your parameter inside of this function when you try to call it. Otherwise this function will not work because it requires the player to work. Okay, now let's play this thing. Let's see if it works. At least I hope that it works. But then we have a huge problem, guys. So equip towers, let me add a int value. Let me call it Tachi, and let me stop. Let me play again, and I hope that it has worked. Okay, it did not work. It did not work out. Wait, let's change the name. No, let's change the name of this table to safety. Maybe there was an issue with the names. Okay, let's stop again. Wait. So there is an error. I've just seen it. Where is it? There was an error. Where is it? Okay, never mind. Yeah, it still does not work. Okay, never mind. We will take care of the status still in the next episode, guys. There is probably, yeah, a little issue. But yeah, we'll of course manage to fix it in the next episode, guys. Thank you for watching. Leave a like, subscribe, share this video to all of your friends. Take care and see you in the next video, guys.